Phantom Forces players in general tend to gravitate towards older maps instead of voting for newer ones. Old maps like Desert Storm, Crane Sight, and Revad are vastly preferred over new maps like Fortress, Derrick, and Penthouse. This doesn't necessarily mean that old maps are better though. Desert Storm and Crane Sight give the Ghosts a crushing advantage over Phantoms, and the current Revad 2016 isn't even the actual 2016 version of Revad at all. Sadly, Stylus has been really stubborn as of late in adding new maps to the game. The last actual maps added to the game were back in 2022, and before you say anything, Containers is not a map. It's a science experiment, and I'll probably cover that in its own video. Anyways, I still think it's worth checking out some of the more recently added maps and seeing if they're really worth playing or not. And to be honest, none of them really stand out to me as objectively horrible maps. Everyone seems to like Derrick well enough. Fortress has some of the best spawns in the entire game. Transit, while it is a bit boring compared to other maps, seems perfectly fine in terms of gameplay. Revad Revamp is quite popular among the player base actually, and in my opinion is so vastly superior to Revad 2016 that it deserves a video of its own. The only recent map that people don't seem to like as much is Penthouse, but honestly I don't hate it either. Also the map looks really cool, so I actually kind of like it. However, one map that isn't really voted nearly as often as the others I just mentioned is Dust Bowl. At a glance, Dust Bowl is very similar to Dunes, which isn't a very good look for the map, as Dunes is one of the most hated maps in the game. However, the reason Dunes is so bad is solely due to the fact that it has the worst spawns of any map in the entire game. A few rank 200 players on either side of the map can shut down any chance of escape for whoever is unfortunate enough to be caught in the spawn trap. Phantoms in particular have it really bad on Dunes because it's impossible to escape their spawn without walking out into the open and immediately getting sniped. What then if we took the biggest problem with Dunes and attempted to fix it? Well, that's basically what Dust Bowl is. Of course, the spawns on this map aren't perfect. It's very open, and snipers are a major threat here. However, it is a massive step up from Dunes. Dust Bowl is a slightly smaller map in comparison to Dunes, measuring 600 studs from end to end compared to Dunes' 673, and this means that there is a much shorter rush time to the hill on both sides of the map. Another huge mark in this map's favor is that there's a lot more cover than on Dunes. This means that players on either side can reach the roof of the large building opposite the railroad, which is where most of the snipers will be, without getting sniped themselves. These things together make the route out of Dust Bowl's spawn safer and quicker than on maps like Dunes. Granted, Dunes isn't a very high bar to clear, but the hill placement is also worth discussing. The problem with Koth on most maps is that grenades in PF are overpowered compared to other games. This is why there's almost always a prop at the center of the hill to shield players from a grenade thrown at the opposite side. Maps that don't have this are really bad on King of the Hill, but fortunately Dust Bowl does have it, so it doesn't really apply to Dust Bowl. However, this doesn't make the hill area safe. A grenade that explodes just above the hill will wipe out everyone currently on it. The good news is that this isn't a problem on Dust Bowl either, as it's physically impossible to get a grenade to explode above the hill. You might think that this is a bad thing, but I disagree. Like on all maps on King of the Hill, grenades are still very powerful in Dust Bowl King of the Hill if you can throw them into one of the windows, and in my opinion, it's a lot healthier for the game if people are forced into actual combat rather than throwing funny explosive green eggs at a grill in the center of the map. Ignoring grenades, the hill placement on Dust Bowl is just good in general. There's a roughly equal rush time for either team, and it gives players a choice. Go to the large building across the open part of the map for better sightlines, or be a functioning member of society and actually play the objective. There's too many maps in Phantom Forces where holding the objective also gives players too much map control, so Dust Bowl making players choose is a much needed change. To be honest, the hate for Dust Bowl seems mostly unfounded. Snipers are far less annoying on this map than on Desert Storm, and the spawns are actually escapable, unlike Dunes, and they actually allow you to get to the hill reasonably quickly without spawning you directly next to it. And the hill itself is actually a strategic location where you actually have to plan an attack instead of brainlessly throwing grenades at it. If there's one thing you should take away from this video, it's that you're not going to improve by playing the same few maps over and over. You need to expand your horizons and shake things up every now and then, because you might just find a part of the game that you really enjoy. Hopefully you've now been enlightened on why Dust Bowl is a great map. Thanks for watching, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.